Batgirls, issue 17, Becky Clooning and Michael Conrad writing with Robbie Rodriguez on the art. So this is it's a really interesting setup actually. So Steph and Cass are at the park. It's like the annual festival in the springtime in the hill. The podcaster journalist chick is doing some interviews around the place
about gentrification, and people just aren't getting it.
Yeah, and they're basically having a good time, and then there's some noises and a gunshot, and it becomes clear there's a sniper on a roof. It basically starts off the same way as God Told Me To, which is a fantastic little movie from the 70s. I highly recommend it. But so the girls who are not in costume, they were just out as civvies. They get everyone to safety inside the bookstore run by the I don't know if I know his name, but we've seen the guy before.
Wasn't he involved in the Ripper story?
Well, we saw him a couple of times, Matt. That's the point I was going to make, is that they've done a good job of establishing some like minor characters.
The Hill as a neighborhood feels like a
It's the same guy who he was wearing a turban, and he gave Cass like advice on what books to read, and then recommended some books to her in one issue. So they've done a good job of doing that, and it's like, okay, we actually know where this is. This location means something to us because they've already set it up during the run, which is really nice. So obviously the girls, sneak out and get into costume and go looking for the sniper, and they're concerned that the podcaster Grace, her cameraman, wasn't in the bookstore, so she got really worried that he's out there somewhere hurt. And they find him, and he is hurt. He's hurt on a rooftop somewhere. So they chase after the sniper, and Cass sort of like tracks the trajectory of the bullets and where they came from. But when she gets to the location, the sniper's not there. It's there's nothing. So it's like, okay, this is interesting. We've set up this big dramatic opening.
Who is skilled enough to escape Cassandra Cain? Right? Like, she's pretty good at this counter stuff, right? Like,
yeah, but it's from a distance, though. That's the thing. It's like, whoever had time to get away. So Montoya's there briefly, and it's like Cass is kind of like personally annoyed that they got away. She's like, next time, she looks kind of. The art's very good in showing that she's very pissed off by it. The girls are training, and they're waiting for like the next thing to go down. And we see one of the big plot points in the middle of this is that Grace is like so distraught over what happened to her cameraman, and she feels so unsafe that she actually goes looking to the black market to buy a gun for protection. And that's one of the plot points here. And the two Batgirls are up on a rooftop, they're looking around, and they actually end up running into the meeting where Grace is buying this gun, because they find these criminals who are selling stuff, and basically they're like concerned that these bad guys, these gangs or whatever, are profiting off of people's fear that they're selling stuff in this time of crisis.
Well, it's the fact that they want to make people safe, but they're not going about it the right way, right? So they're just making more problems in the long run.
Oh yeah, in like a macro sense, sure, but like specifically, this like, oh no, these guys are like profiteering off of the fear and the hysteria because of something dangerous going on. And as they point out, adding more guns to the mix isn't exactly going to make anything better, especially since this sniper is like from such a distance that like, who are you going to actually shoot? Like, you're not going to see them with your handgun or shotgun. Like, they're miles away.
Yeah.
So the girls intervene, they beat up the bad guys or the punks, and right as this is happening, we cut to whoever this sniper is at a window, and we see that they've got Steph in the crosshairs. But then they redirect and they aim at one of the bad guys, and the gunshot rings out. And all of a sudden, again, we're ducking and diving behind tombstones, because this is all taking place in a cemetery.
And the graveyard. A really cool location for this.
Yeah, and I love the tension of this. It all felt really kind of on edge. It felt like the Batgirls were really trying to like sneak around. And it became this really interesting tactic where after they dump all the gang members in like an open grave, because you'll be safe down there.
Yeah.
Basically, we have Steph like standing up and like talking and basically being a bright distraction for the sniper, whilst Cass is trying to get to whoever it is.
To sneak around.
Yeah. Right? So Cass has got into super sneak mode. She's got up really fast, grappling up the building, while Steph is being kind of this intentional target. And this is all really nice. Like Cass especially running up the buildings. Like, all the backgrounds are purple. The city's purple in the background. and she gets up to wherever the sniper was. The sniper's gone yet again, which we know Cass was determined to catch them, so there's already some meaning to the reader here, and this means something that Cass missed them yet again. But the final panel, the cliffhanger, is 3 sniper bullets and then a note that says 1 for each Batgirl. So this is directly related to them. So whoever this is probably knows who they really are, because the first time they struck was when they were at this, like,
in civilian.
Yeah, they were at this, like, concert in the park, and they were in civilian clothes. So whoever it is knows who they are, and this is personal. So I assume this will make sense, whoever it is, when they reveal it later in the arc. It did kind of look like it might be a woman based on the silhouette, but it could just be a guy with long hair as well, admittedly. But I suspect it's someone from probably earlier in the run, just because it makes sense to me for it to be that.
Yeah, it seems like it's because it wasn't the biker gang selling the guns also from the earlier part of the run.
I think they popped up before, yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if they're bringing this all around.
In fact, didn't they steal the car from them? Or
I believe so.
Yeah, I think that would have been them. Yeah, I really liked this issue, actually. I thought it was a really strong start of a new arc that gave us some real danger, right? It really felt like, all the ducking and hiding from the sniper was a really simple, effective way to have tension. But then you have this personal side of it where Cass is pissed and catch the sniper, and then at the end it's really personal because now the sniper is specifically toying with them, specifically coming after the Batgirls. And so, and the art's pretty good too. I really like the especially all the stuff in the cemetery in the last.
Yeah, the cemetery stuff I thought was a really inspired action sequence. I don't really think of that in comics, because like it was a kind of very sneaky, with Cass going amongst the tombstones, tracking the trajectory of the bullets and stuff. So
yeah, and then the other
really
little,
stood out.
The other little detail at the end that I really liked as well is that Babs cuts the power to the cemetery, so all the street lights in the cemetery all go out to try and give Cass some cover and make it hard for the sniper to see them. I like that. It felt like they were all sort of working together. They were trying to save people. Even the gang at the end is like, we still have to save these guys. We can't just let them die either. So you've got a good mix of like good tense sequences. You've got the Batgirls being fun and sort of bantery still, but not as much because they're in a more serious situation.
Yeah.
And
I'm still enjoying the voice for Cass too, because she's absolutely. When you're reading her.
She quotes Edgar Allan Poe at one point, and that's become this running thing because she's been reading a lot. She starts quoting some classic stories and stuff.
Didn't she do Shakespeare in one of the last arcs?
Yeah, she did. She did like a Shakespeare quote. Yeah. So I actually kind of dig that as a little character trait, is that she's she's speaking more, but because she's reading a lot of classic books and stuff, she's sort of like quoting things. So she's like she sounds like Cass when she's speaking normally, but she'll throw in a quote from like a.
See, not reading this, it just sounds like a Bumblebee in the Transformers movies.
I mean, yeah, but she's not using it as
it's only one. It's one quote in the entire issue. It's not. It's not.
And
it's not every line.
And it has to do with what's going on, because it's a quote about fear, and from a Poe story and whatnot. But no, I like that with because this is a girl that was raised to fight, and right, so her brain works in that type of way. So she can pick these quotes and stuff from the things she's read, like she can, martial arts moves. And so I feel like it really builds to her character. And I'm excited to see how this if any of this carries over into her Spirit World book. Well, I know it's not her book, but she's going to be featured in it.
I mean, yeah, hopefully the creative team in that are paying attention to this run and seeing what's been done previously. It's always nice when that consistency is there.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, it's a shame that it's ending with issue 20, because I feel like it's done nothing but get better, basically.
Yeah.
But everything after the first arc, I think, has been relatively good to great at times. And I think this was another good issue that just felt like a really cool little story idea. So, yeah, I dug it a lot. Nice, consistent art, very expressive, fits the tone of the book. Nice, threatening new villain that's simple and effective, which is the total opposite of that first arc where there was like 5 villains and all this interlocking stuff. This is really simple and like dangerous, and just get a lot of good thrills out of it. So Matt, what are you rating Batgirls issue 17?
I'm gonna give this a straight 8.
I think I'll go as high as an 8.5 on this, to be honest. I really enjoyed this.